Hello, welcome to Steph. I'm Steph. Today I'm venturing into my first ever time making activewear. And it's also going to involve a little bit of self-drafting, which I'm still kind of fairly new to, and maybe you guys can follow along and this can be a bit of a tutorial. See, I have this bra, this sports bra, activewear bra, top tank thing that I've loved a lot and maybe loved a little bit too hard because it started to fall apart. The straps are a little loose and it's just kind of a bit old. And the company that I bought this from, they don't make this style anymore, which is a bit of a bummer because I really like it and I would buy like 5 more. That is also an opportunity for me to practice some self-drafting and have a go at making activewear for the very first time. Also, it was a serendipitous moment when I decided to make this because the Remnant Warehouse had a little sale on these mini rolls of activewear fabric. And this is a colour that I love and I wear a lot, so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to spend the money and buy the thing and have a go at making one myself. So to start off with, I'm getting out my trusty roll of yellow trace. If you don't have tracing paper, you can use baking paper or any kind of paper that you have lying around. It's better when it's kind of a large format though, so that you can really trace around the whole thing that you need to make pattern pieces with. And I'm going to lay out the original bra flat and just trace around the outside. As you can see at the side, there's a bit of an angle to account for the shape of the body. So what I'm going to do is keep the bottom of the original horizontal and leave a little wedge at the front and the back underneath where it joins like under the arm. I outlined what I had done in a thicker pen so you can see what I'm working with, and then I cut out that piece of paper. But what you can't see here is that I'm actually folding it in half, and then I took an average of the lines that I traced as I went around, because I wanted the pattern piece to be somewhat symmetrical. I realized I could have folded the original, but oh well, this seemed to work for me. And I added seam allowance at the outer seams because that's where the pieces will join together, as you can see when I'm demonstrating bringing those edges together. To cut the fabric out, I started by folding along the grain line. This is a two-way stretch, so it didn't really matter which way I folded it. I put my pattern piece down on the bottom edge aligned to the fold. A cool trick I learned from the internet about adding seam allowance is to just use magnets on your scissors. These magnets are some that my husband had that I just kind of borrowed. They're 1/8 of an inch thick each, so I added 5 together and put them on the outside of my scissors while I was cutting around so that I could have a standard seam allowance on that edge. And then for everything else, I just used my rotary cutter, except for when I ran out of cutting mat. Obviously, I didn't want to cut the table. Then using some chalk, I transferred the markings of the little wedge on both sides of the fabric because I still didn't know how I was going to deal with that little extra bit of fabric in that shape. Then to put it together, I'm using a technique that I also learned from the internet about putting like a cuff together. So I'm slowing it right down to real time so that you guys can follow along. It's really cool how it turns out. Firstly, unfold everything, then fold the fronts over the backs on like the vertical fold, like this ways, and match up the side seam. And then fold it again in the other direction, like along the horizontal, so that you can match the fronts. I say match the fronts because you can actually see the edges, whereas if you were matching the backs, they'd be kind of hidden. And then make sure they're all matched up and everything's neat and tidy, and then pin or clip or baste or do whatever it is to hold those things together. And you can check by folding it out to the right way to check that you've done this step in the right way. If you haven't done it correctly, you won't be able to see the hole where your body will go through. Before I do any sewing though, I'm changing my needle from a regular needle to a jersey needle. And then I'm doing a bit of a test zigzag on a scrap piece of fabric to check that everything was kosher before I started sewing the proper garment. Then I sewed the side seams on the raw edges first, the ones where we added the seam allowance. And then I did a double stitching line just to be sure to hold that all in place, because it's gonna get pulled a lot when you stretch and taking it off and on. For the wedge part, I did it kind of like how you would do a dart, where I stitched on an angle to a point right underneath the underarm bit. And then I trimmed everything neatly and I turned it right side out. For the straps and binding along the front, I'm using a fold over elastic. I didn't know what this stuff was on the outside, so I took the original bra along to the shop, to the Remnant warehouse, and I asked them, I was like, hey, what is this product? And they said, oh, it's fold over elastic. And they showed me what I needed, and then I just bought, I don't know, a meter or something. But before stitching that on, I decided that it would be a good idea to baste everything together so that it wouldn't slip while I added the elastic. Here I am showing you how I started with the front piece of binding before I moved on to the underarm and strap part. The elastic on the underneath side, and then I aligned the fold with the raw edge, and I just stitched it down to begin with before I folded everything over. I used a zigzag stitch. Then I folded it over and I top stitched with a straight stitch on the front to finish off the front bit. I trimmed the corners a little bit before I started adding the underarm and strap piece. And I just did the same thing. I pinned around, lining up the fold line with the raw edge, and I left a little bit of a tail at the front so that I could make the loop for where the ring is going to go. I just kind of guesstimated how much extra I would need to get over the shoulder and back around to the front, and I just trimmed that off. I just used the same method as I did for the front part. I started just by stitching one edge of the elastic on the wrong side, like the side that's going to be facing into your body. When I got to the back, I did a little back stitch just to secure it. Then when it was time to fold over, I folded it over and I top stitched all the way along the front. And then when I got to the back part, I just folded it over and stitched along, top stitched along to make the strap. Then for the second side, when I got to that point, I sandwiched the first strap inside the second strap and top stitched everything together, and I measured off this original, how tall that overlap needed to be. To attach the rings at the front, I just threaded the ring through the tail that I'd left, and then I basted it in place with the machine. On the original, you can see that there's this thick stitch, which is kind of like an applique stitch, so I switched up the settings on my machine to a very narrow and short zigzag stitch. And then I tested it out on a scrap before I went ahead and did the actual stitching for the rings. It's not very neat, but I blame having the tripod and the camera in the way because I couldn't really see what I was doing. It's gonna do the trick, so that's all I really care about. And I also did the same thing to secure the overlap pieces at the back, just at the top and bottom. With both rings on, it was time to try it on and then pull the straps through to the front to mark the length that I needed. And then I used the same applique stitch to hold them in place, and I just cut off the extra. And that was it. It was done. And you know what? I am super happy with how this turned out. It's really comfy and it's really similar to the original one, and I really love the original one, so I'm so glad that I have something to replace it with and something that I made myself, and it really didn't take very long. I didn't add little pockets for the boob cups. I don't really mind having my nips out, but I know that some people don't like that. It wouldn't be hard to do to just take a little chunk out of the inside piece and finish off that edge before folding it over and putting all the pieces together if you needed to have those little cup insert slots. Also, if you needed it, it wouldn't be hard to add some extra elastic along the bottom band of this on the inside. Yeah, that would be really easy to add as well if you needed that extra support. This bra is definitely more of a low impact sort of vibe, definitely for yoga, Pilates. I wouldn't be doing any burpees or jump squats if you actually had boobs, unlike me. I am a lifelong card-holding platinum, triple platinum member of the Itty Bitty Titty Committee. I'm still waiting for what puberty promised. Been waiting 20 years and I'll probably be waiting my whole life. So something tells me it ain't coming. I have so much of this fabric left over, so maybe I'm gonna make a matching set for everything. I need a long sleeve top, so maybe I'll have a go at making one of those. I'm pretty stoked that I can add activewear to my repertoire. Let me know in the comments if you followed this tutorial, and remember to subscribe so you can see me make more videos, make more stuff in more videos. I have so many things planned and I'm really excited to show you guys. That's all from me today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!